What's going on, y'all? I'm KM Best, one of the best Marvel Snap players in the world. Marvel Snap just launched on PC, and there are tons of rewards that you can claim as they celebrate their launch month. One of those rewards is a Mecha Devil Dinosaur skin, and that is what I wanted to focus on today, because that card, Devil Dinosaur, is relevant all the way from the beginning of the game to the very end game. Thank you so much to Marvel Snap for sponsoring this video. Let's talk some Devil Dino. Here is what my favorite Devil Dinosaur deck looks like at the end game. Devil Dinosaur is a key piece, a very, very large 5-cost card that will put a ton of power on the board for its cost. Support pieces for Devil Dinosaur include Nick Fury, which puts 3 6-cost cards in your hand, and Moon Girl, which of course doubles everything in your hand. You can even get 2 Devil Dinosaurs with this one. Those cards you duplicate are discounted by the existence of Quinjet, and discounted further if they cost 4 by the existence of Zabu. Darkhawk is supported by Rock Slide, putting rocks in your opponent's deck, and by Korg doing the same thing. Mystique is a significant overlap between the Darkhawk plan and the Devil Dinosaur plan. Mystique can copy your Darkhawk or your Devil Dinosaur in order to double up on big power. Agent Coulson is a bit of a similar overlap, giving you a 4 and a 5-cost card that are discounted by Quinjet and of course potentially discounted by Zabu in the case of a 4-cost card. He also is used to put cards in your hand in order to buff your Devil Dinosaur. Armor protects your powerful guys. You can't get Shang-Chi'd if you have an armor in the lane with your Dino or your Darkhawk. Cosmo does the same thing, except it also shuts down Enchantress, which is a dangerous card against a list like this. Overall, this list is built for pure power and shutting down your opponent's ability to interact with you. Armor and Cosmo do a lot of work against decks built around Shang-Chi and Enchantress, and putting a bunch of power on the board that's hard to interact with is a classic strategy. If you're a new player, you're probably a long way off from this, but don't worry, I got you covered. In the early game of Marvel Snap, Devil Dinosaur is even stronger than he is in the late game. This is because there are fewer cards that can actually compete with him for power. Devil Dinosaur is one of the earliest overpowered cards that you get in Marvel Snap, and building around him early can be very rewarding. In this list, he's supported by White Queen, adding cards to your hand, Moon Girl, adding cards to your hand, and of course, doubling up your dinos if you need it, and Sentinel, replacing itself every time you play it. The rest of the deck is just powerful cards for the cost. Angela often scales up to become a 2-6 or a 2-8 depending on what you play in her lane. Nightcrawler is great in combination with Angela. You can play Nightcrawler in the Angela lane, then move him out of the lane to get an extra Angela prop. Elektra allows you to play the aggressor against these decks that are going to be built around 1-cost cards. Zoo decks, as they're called, are very common in the early game, and having a way to blow up an Ant-Man, or at least make sure it's not on, is very important. Lizard is straight up just a 2-5 that is covered by Elektra, so having Elektra in this deck lets us be a little bit more clear that we can make sure that Lizard is not going to have his downside activated. Mr. Fantastic is a 3-6. You basically play him on the middle lane, and you end up getting 6 power for your efforts across multiple lanes. Just a generally very valuable card to have. He's paired with Cosmo at the 3-cost slot. Cosmo is doing a lot of the same things he's doing in endgame decks here, preventing you from falling victim to an Enchantress on your Devil Dinosaur. Iron Man is just a straight up powerful card, but probably the most flexible card in here if you have a different idea for something you want to run. Iron Man is not as good being duplicated as Devil Dinosaur is because he needs other cards in the lane to be a threat, but he is still a powerful unit if you want to apply him in the right spot. Finally, America Chavez is here to make sure that you can get the most out of everything that you put in your deck. What she's doing here is making us more likely to draw our strong cards. We want to be playing a Moon Girl into a Devil Dinosaur as much as we can, and America Chavez not being able to be drawn until turn 6 is very, very powerful in terms of getting us the cards that we want. Let's continue this journey. Now, you've finished Pool 1 and now you've made it into Pool 2. Marvel Snap's matchmaking has decided that you can now play against other players who are having a similar collection level to you. What does that mean? To me, it means you need to be prepared for what they're going to be doing. And that, for the most part, is Zoo. We've mentioned Zoo decks a little bit before. Zoo decks are decks built around a variety of one-cost cards, and your job is to not get overwhelmed by them. For this reason, there's a Killmonger sub-theme in this deck now. Killmonger blows up all of the one-cost cards on the board, and it's going to probably be your first lesson in priority. When you play this card, it'll only blow up the ones that it can see. So if you are revealing your Killmonger before they reveal their one-cost cards are going to be safe. You can make sure this doesn't happen by not winning the game before you play the Killmonger. The player that is currently winning is going to be the one that reveals their cards first. If you need to blow up cards that are face down, you need to have your opponent reveal their cards first. Killmonger allows us to include Nova, a very powerful card that, when it explodes, gives a buff to all your other cards on the board. This leads us to the inclusion of Carnage, which is a way to get rid of Nova if you don't have Killmonger, and Deathlock, a very, very powerful 3-cost card that comes with the downside of blowing up everything else you have in that lane. Your job is to turn that downside into an upside with cards like Nova and Bucky Barnes. Shang-Chi is there for when your opponents are trying to go tall. You can blow up their Devil Dinosaurs, their Gamoras, whatever it is that you want to blow up with a Shang-Chi, you can hit it. The remainder of the cards in the list are Devil Dinosaur support cards that you should be familiar with. Moon Girl, White Queen, Cable, and Sentinel. Of course, we also have America Chavez, because at this point, we still really want to be playing Moon Girl into Devil Dinosaur plus Devil Dinosaur. It's a powerful thing to do. Those two styles of list will carry you through much of the game. But when you hit Pool 3, Pool 4, Pool 5, there are a ton of other ways to use Devil Dinosaur. This list, for example, uses him as an endgame threat that pairs well with early game scaling threats. Angela and Kitty Pryde are a potent combo that lets you put a lot of power onto the board while sending Kitty Pryde back to your hand so she is still safe. Kitty Pryde pairs very well with the Devil Dinosaur on the final turn of the game. Devil Dinosaur costs 5 and Kitty Pryde costs 1, so you'll be playing a Devil Dinosaur with, say, 13 power and a Kitty Pryde with about 6 or 7. The Collector is the major overlap between the Kitty Pryde plan and the Devil Dinosaur plan. Collector gets extra points when you play Kitty and she comes back to your hand, but also gets extra points for all of the cards that you're already playing in the Dino archetype so that you can keep your Dino at full strength. When you play a Sentinel, an Agent Coulson, or a Nick Fury, the Collector will get points for each of the cards added to your hand. These cards are also discounted by Quinjet, which is a card you'll see a lot in later Devil Dinosaur lists. Mirage buffs the Collector and buffs Devil Dinosaur, but it's unlikely that the card you get is going to be one that you don't play. She's really just there to give you more resources and is hardly required for the list. The same goes for Legion. This is an endgame card that costs 3,000 collector's tokens and is a very, very powerful card in the sense that it is able to give your opponent a bunch of problems, but at the bare minimum is going to get rid of bad locations for you. So, for example, if there is a location that says you can't play there, play Legion off of that location, you can suddenly play there. Devil Dinosaur is also used as a support piece. This card is extremely powerful at the 5-cost slot just in terms of the raw number of points you are going to get. So you often see it in Thanos decks that are built to cycle the stones that Thanos provides. In this list, Dino is just there to be big. He's not what the list is built around, he's just big enough and good enough that you can play him no matter what. And that is how a lot of endgame Dino decks end up looking. They're not necessarily built around the card Devil Dinosaur, but they use him just as a very powerful 5-cost option. You see him in Thanos lists and in Electro lists. Any deck where you are going to have 5 or 6 cards in your hand if you're doing your plan correctly at the end of the game should take a good long look at Devil Dinosaur. To celebrate the Steam launch, Marvel Snap will be giving away multiple variants. The Mech Devil Dinosaur variant, as we've discussed, can be acquired just by logging in on Steam. But there are also variants that are being given away as Twitch drops. These variants include Nightcrawler, Moon Girl, and Sunspot, which are cards you're going to be able to use with Devil Dinosaur in the decks that we've talked about today. So, make sure you check out any of the Twitch drop enabled streams to pick up these variants. Nightcrawler you get at 2 hours, Moon Girl you get at 4 hours, and Sunspot you get at 6 hours. Of course, I, KM Best, will be one of those Twitch drop enabled streams. You can check me out at twitch.tv/KMBestMS. You can also use my link in the description to go to Steam and download the game and get your exclusive Mech Devil Dinosaur variant to play any of the decks that we talked about today. Remember that these Twitch drops are live only between August 22nd and August 29th of 2023, so make sure you get your hours in and pick up these exclusive variants while you can. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I've been KM Best. Thank you so much to Marvel Snap for sponsoring this stream. It's truly appreciated. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you go get your free variants. And if you're a new player, I hope that your Marvel Snap journey is as profitable and pleasurable to you as mine has been. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.